Today, I'll show you how to speed up your scrapbooking and card making process using pattern fields and design space. Hi guys, my name is Omar. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I hope you're having a great day. Okay, so we all wish we had infinite amounts of time to create cards and scrapbooking layouts, but we don't always do. Sometimes you're in a hurry and you need to create a card that doesn't take you all day to make. Using a single SVG file, I'll show you how to create a card in 4 different ways depending on the amount of time that you have available. And this is when pattern fields come into place. Pattern fields, or seamless patterns, are images that repeated next to one another create a seamless design. You can find them in design space, you can find them over on the web, and you can also buy them on graphic design sites. But first, let's talk a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages of using pattern fields in design space. Disadvantage number 1 is that you will need a printer. It doesn't have to be a photo quality printer, but it's a good idea to get a good printer that will last you a long time. Also, make sure you get a printer that is capable of handling heavy cardstock. I tend to use Nina 110 pound cardstock for my printing, and that's a pretty thick cardstock that not all printers can handle. To me, Canon printers are the best ones out there. I use a Pixma IP7210, which is a not so expensive option, and cartridges are not so expensive either. Disadvantage number 2 is that every time you print on white color cardstock, you will get a white edge around your images. This doesn't happen when you use colored cardstock where the core of the cardstock is the same color, but a good way to fix this is to add a white outline around your images so the cardstock shows its color and it doesn't really matter. For tips on how to add white outlines around your image, check the video that is linked on your screen. Now, the last disadvantage I see when working with pattern fields and print then cut in design space is that you will waste a little bit of paper. Print then cut only allows you to print a maximum size of 9 1/4 by 6 3/4 of an inch design. So you will not be able to take full advantage of your 8 1/2 by 11 inches paper. Now let's talk about the advantages of using pattern fields in design space. First of all, you don't have to go out and buy any paper pads. For me, it's very difficult to find a place that sells paper pads in my country, and when I get to them, I usually like them all, and I end up buying things that I never use later. So not having to go out and hunt for pattern paper is a great advantage for me. Second, if you're like me and are not very good at combining pattern paper, you can always try out your designs in design space. Cricut has a great collection of pattern paper that you can try first before buying. Also, they are very inexpensive. There are designs that are even less than $1. If you are good at creating your own designs or have your own pattern paper designs, you can use them in design space and you can upload them and create projects with them. Now you can also do a search on the web for pattern paper or seamless patterns and download them and try them in design space. Now, the most important advantage that I see of using your pattern fields in design space is that you get to create projects very fast because they are printed and you don't have to change the paper on the cutting mat every time. So let's see how to upload and use your pattern fields in design space. Okay, so first of all, you have to upload your files. In this case, we're going to upload our card file first. This is an SVG file that you can download at my blog. The file that you're going to select is card.svg. So just go to the folder where you decompressed the file and click on the SVG file and click on open. Here you can add name, you can change the name or add tags if you want to for easier finding. Once you're done, click on Save, and there it is. Your SVG file is already uploaded. Next, we are going to upload our pattern files. These are JPEG, GIF, PNG, or BMP images. You will get all three patterns that we used in this card. So select the first one, and here you can change the name of the pattern file. You can add tags and add colors if you want to, and styles also. I always use styles and colors. This is the best way for me to keep them organized. So once you're done, click on Save. This might take a while because they are pretty big images. And keep doing that with all three patterns. Select the hex polka dot and change the style and the color. And click on Save. Wait for a little bit for it to load. And then click on your next one, change the style, and select the color if you want to. Once all your pattern files are uploaded, we are going to place our SVG file on our canvas. So wait for it to load, and there you have it. Your file and your card is already on your canvas, and here are all the layers that create this card. From here on, we're going to change some things to give you different options. The first method I'll show you is what I call the full cutout card. This is a card where you will cut every single piece on a different color paper. So here you can see all the mats have different pieces and different colors. Now let's cancel this and take a look at the structure of the file. The first thing you will notice is that when you upload a file in Design Space, it places it on the canvas as a group. No matter what the name of the file is, if it has several layers, it will be uploaded as a group. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the top name and click on Ungroup. And here you can see the different elements of the card, the gift box, the hearts, and the tag on the top right corner are different groups that you can manipulate individually. So let's start with the sentiment tag on the upper right corner. There are several elements for this tag, and the top one is the sentiment. We're going to change the cutting mode and change the layer attribute to right. I'm going to choose a lighter color. In this case, it's going to be gemstone blue, just for visual purposes. We're not going to use an actual gemstone blue for this. I am also going to change the color or the layer attribute for the hearts on the sides. I'm going to use a wine color, so the hearts are written with a different color on my tag. Now everything is grouped, but not everything is attached. If you click on your tag and then click on Make It, and you go to the mat where your sentiment is, you will see that your sentiment is written on a different layer, not on your tag layer where we want it. So let me cancel this and show you how to attach your sentiment to your tag. Now the first thing we're going to do is select the tag and ungroup it so every element is on a different layer. Move the top embellishment of that tag to the side, and using your layers panel, or trying to click on the white outline around the tag, move the background tag to the side also. Now select everything, the tag, the sentiment, and both written hearts, and click on Attach. That way your writing will be attached to your tag. Now if you click on Make It, you will see that your sentiment is now attached to your pink tag. Now if we check all our mats, we have the white color that all the outlines will be cut from, the card base. We have the strings for the balloons. We have the gift box front panel. We have the card front. In this wine color, we have all the embellishments, the shadows for the hearts, and also the bow for the gift box. And here we have the tag and one embellishment for the gift box. And here are the front layers for the hearts. Now I'll show you very quick how to assemble the card. I used a lot of stamps, and I stamped my paper to create a pattern using a darker ink color, and then I took a glue pen and added glue to all the pieces and put my card together. The results are great. You get a very detailed card and with a lot of dimension, but it's very time consuming. Here you can see me assembling the hearts. Here is the shadow for the heart and the front piece of the heart. And here is the string for the heart. Repeat the process for the other two heart balloons. I like to use fun foam for the back of my front panel. This way it has a lot more support and is faster to do than to use just foam tape. Put pieces of foam tape on the back of the gift box, the tag, and assemble the card with the hearts and the gift box. So there you have it. A very dimensional card with cutout pieces for every single color. Now the next method I'm going to show you is the full printed card. So put your SVG file on your canvas again. Remember, we have already uploaded all the pattern fields. So there you have it. There is your card with all the layers that create this card. Now we're going to change the fills for some of the elements here. So locate the front panel, go to the bottom of your layers panel, and click on the scissors icon for the front panel. And from here on, change the layer attribute to print. Click on pattern and select the striped pattern that we uploaded. If you're fine with it, just leave it as it is. But in my case, I wanted it to be smaller, so the lines were closer together. So change the scale for the pattern, and you see a preview on the left side. You can always change it later if you're not happy with it. You can change the horizontal and vertical position and also the rotation of the pattern. Now locate the front panel for the gift box. This is a small pink square. And do the same thing. Click on the scissors icon, change the layer attributes to print, and click on pattern. Select the hex polka dot design, and also change the scale if you want to. Now I wanted that design to be centered on my front panel for the gift box, so I'm changing the horizontal and vertical positions until my design is centered. Last, we are going to change the background for the tag. So click on that scissors icon, change the layer attributes to print, click on pattern, and select the darkest pattern that we uploaded. I'm also going to scale it up a little bit so the lines kind of match the sentiment, the written sentiment. I closed it and see if it was aligned with the written sentiment, so it wasn't. So I clicked on edit and scale it up a little bit and change the vertical placement for that pattern if you need to. Now it's pretty aligned, and the last thing we're going to do is change also the layer attributes for the written sentiment. So you can actually see it, and it's not kind of weird with those O's filled with white. So I clicked on the sentiment, changed the layer attributes to right, and selected a lighter color. In this case was cactus pink. And that's pretty much it. Now the next thing you want to do is select your whole card, all the embellishments, the card base, and everything, and click on flatten. That will create a single layer that will be printed and that you can cut, fold, and send. This card is 10 inches wide and the maximum printing size for design space is 9¼ inches. So change the width for the card from 10 inches to 9.25 inches. Make sure the proportion is locked, and that way when you change the width, the height will be changed accordingly. In this case, when you click on Make It, you will see that you have one single layer that will be printed on your printer and then cut on your Cricut machine. It's a good idea when you do this type of cards to use the bleed feature on the print then cut to avoid wide outlines around your card. Now the last thing you need to do is score your card in the middle, fold it, and you're good to go. Here you can see the card. The outside is completely printed, it's one single layer, and the inside of the card is white cardstock that you can write on. Here's the comparison between the two cards. On the right we have the fully printed, and on the left the fully cut out card. And here are close-ups of both cards. Okay, so from here on, we are going to step things up a little bit. Remember, we applied patterns to some of the elements of this card. Here you have the card base and the front panel, which are the last two layers of the layer stack. Select both and click on Ungroup, because we need them ungrouped. This action will take both layers to the top of the stack. We need to send them back again. So select both by holding the Shift key and clicking on each layer, and then click on Arrange and send them to the back of the stack. Now select everything but the card base. To do that, draw a rectangle or drag a rectangle around everything, and then holding the Shift key, click on the card base. This is the last layer of the layer stack. That will select everything but the card base. With everything but the card base selected, click on Flatten, and there you have it, a front panel that can be printed and then glued to the card base that you can cut from colored cardstock. Now if you click on Make It, you will see that you don't need to change the size of the front panel because it's within the maximum printing size of print then cut in design space. Remember to leave the bleed feature on so you don't get white edges around your images. Now the last thing you need to do to complete this card is cut a card base from gray cardstock that is 5 inches by 10 inches. Take your front printed panel and add some fun foam to the back using double-sided tape. And now a good trick to make sure your front panel is correctly positioned and centered on your card base is to use a piece of low-tack tape. So place your front panel centered on the front of your card base, and using that piece of low-tack tape, hold it in place. Now flip your front panel over and use double-sided tape. I'm using my ATG gun here. Add tape to the back of that foam tape and flip it over again, and there you have it. Your front panel is correctly positioned. I'm not very good at centering panels, so this has worked great for me. Now be very careful when removing the low tack tape, because even though it's very low tack, it could remove some of the printing. Now here you have all three cards that we have already made. From left to right is the fully cut out, and the center is the fully printed, and then is the partial printed card. And here are close-ups of all three of them. And finally, what I want to show you is how to create a card with a partial print then cut that takes a little bit longer than the last one. This time we will print each different element by itself, and we will glue them using foam tape to the front of the card. So what you need to do first is select the whole card and ungroup it. That will create different groups for each element. A group for the gift box, a group for each heart balloon, and a group for the tag on the upper right corner. So here you can select each group. Do not ungroup those. There you have the hard balloon that has the front of the balloon, the shadow, the string, and the white outline. So with everything selected, click on Flatten. That will create one single shape that will be printed that has all elements for that hard balloon. Do the same for the tag and for the gift box. Click on Flatten, and as you can see here, we have one image that will be printed for the gift box, one image that will be printed for the tag, and different images that will be printed for the hard balloons. The front panel is also a print then cut image. In this case, you don't need to flatten that with a card base. If you click on Make It, you will see that in one single print then cut sheet, you have all elements that need to be printed, and your card base is on a different mat, and you can cut it from color cardstock. You can use your machine to cut the card base, but it's really a waste of paper. I like to use a piece of gray cardstock that is 5 by 10 inches. Remove all the printed elements from your cutting mat, the hearts, the gift box, the front panel, and the tag. And using that card base that is 5 by 10 inches of gray cardstock, add that foam tape to pop up the front panel, the printed front panel that we just created, and adding more double-sided tape to the back of that foam tape, place your front panel on your card base. Using some foam tape on each of your embellishments, place them on top of that front panel. So there it is. All 4 cards with different amounts of work on them. The fully printed card that is one single layer, white cardstock inside, and fully printed on the outside. Next, we have the partial printed card that has a front panel that is printed and popped up using fun foam. The inside of the card is gray cardstock, and this shows a little bit more work. Then we have the partial printed card also. This is a little bit more complicated than the last one. Each element is printed separately and popped up using foam tape. So it looks similar to the fully cut out card, but it's not quite as crafty. And finally, we have the fully cut out card. This is definitely my favorite. It shows a lot more work, but it also takes a lot more time to create. So there you have it. 4 ways to create the same card using one single file, using pattern fields in Design Space. Now, I really hope you liked this tutorial. I know we've covered a lot and it's been a long video, and I thank you for sticking with me to the end. Remember that all the products I use are linked in the video description below, and the link to my blog will be posted on the description below also, and you can download the file to create this card. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button next to it to be notified when a new video is uploaded. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.